What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. We do have some things to cover today, and like I've said, I am going on vacation, so I'm trying to get some episodes out. I'm going to continue this series of my predictions for this upcoming season, player-wise, and next episode we'll have the last two players and my prediction for the record and my overall prediction for Denver. So let's hop into this topic here. And the guy that I want to talk about first is actually the first acquisition or one of the acquisitions from the offseason for Denver, and that is the backup for Nikola Jokic finally, and that is Big Val. Big Val is going to be, I think, a massive part of this Denver team because he's going to give backup minutes to Denver, which is something that they haven't had in so long. I guess the last two guys you could say were those legitimate backups were Mason Plumlee and DeMarcus Cousins, and since then, we've been rocking with DeAndre Jordan, who hasn't been doing much or anything at all for that matter. So my predictions for Val is that he's going to play a big backup role. I think that he's going to get a good amount or a good chunk of minutes, and I think that he may get some starts throughout the year. I don't think we see a lot of him next to Jokic in certain sets, but if they do want to play a bigger lineup and not worry about the defense at all, they'll probably play them two together. Maybe we'll see a lot of sets with Val and Duran, which is what I think every Nuggets fan is hoping for. But when it comes to my prediction for Val, I think and I hope actually that he comes in and he puts up anywhere from 9 to 12 points per game. I would just hope for, realistically, I was thinking 7 to 8 rebounds, but I would be fine with 6 to 7 rebounds and assists, maybe 2, maybe around the 2 to 4 range. If he does play the passing style of basketball, which is something that we actually saw Mason Plumlee do a little bit when he was with Denver. So I do think we see that, but I also think that that's subject to change. They could be higher, they could be lower. It depends on how efficient he really is for Denver, but he's going to be getting minutes. He's going to be Jokic's backup. We all know that. That's not a question. There's no question in doubt that he's going to be the guy that's going to come in and back up Jokic and get those minutes. Like I said, he now is able to give Jokic a break where he'll get extended minutes and Jokic might sit out for a game. So that's why I think that point range is going to be anywhere from like around that 9 to 12 range, 9 to 13 range. I would love it if it's more. If we're able to have Val as a backup center who is giving you 10 and 8 or 12 and 6 or 14 and 7. I mean, that's perfect. That's what Denver needed. That's what they've been lacking for the last couple of years, which has sort of been their, one challenge that didn't get them to the finals. So I think that's what we'll see. Obviously, I think that he won't be getting his block or steal per game because he's not the best defensive center. And I think that's the big thing with Duran. Duran's going to be able to take that defensive liability, especially off the bench, and help out there. Same thing with Peyton Watson. And another guy whose defense is, amazing, and somebody who I would hope that we see take another leap is Christian Braun. Now, a guy who's been on the team, won a championship with the organization, has been a major factor, is on a contract year. I think that we see a massive year for Christian Braun strictly because he is on a contract year. He's going to try to prove himself, and he's done nothing but gotten better for Denver. He was the perfect shooting guard for Denver last year, shot super efficient from the three-point line. I think that he keeps that up. I also think that you see a little bit of a change in Denver's offense where they're not leaning on Brown as much, and they're leaning on guys like Cam, and they're leaning on guys like Tim Hardaway off the bench. But I do, in my opinion, I want to say that I see Christian Braun putting up anywhere from, 14 to 16 points a game, 5 rebounds, maybe 3 assists, steal per game. I think that we see an increase in his rebounds because now that Michael Porter Jr. is gone, and he was Denver's second leading rebounder last year, I think we see Braun take a step into that role and is more of a hustle guy for Denver and is able to go out and get longer rebounds for Denver, help out Jokic, especially from the higher points of the arc, which is going to be massive for Denver to get long rebounds because they struggle when it comes to hustle rebounds. I do think we see another efficient season from Christian Braun. I also think we see his steal numbers go up. I think that he's going to be at about a steal and a half per game, strictly because I think that he can actually focus on his defense and scoring in transition. He doesn't have to be as efficient as a shooter because I would love to see Braun be playing a game of he's up top of the key, playing defense, steal leads to offense, and you get a transition bucket or a good closeout, which leads to a Jokic or a Cam rebound if it's not him, a short rebound, and he's down the court already. So I think that's the game that we'll see from Christian Braun, rather. And I think that he's going to be another massive part for Denver's offense and their defense realistically. So I'm excited to see what Brown's going to do. But like I was covering before, another guy that's going to be helping out Brown not only statistically but on the floor is another acquisition by Denver this offseason. And this was via trade for, a guy I just covered, Michael Porter Jr. And obviously we all know that is Cam Johnson, who is, like I've been covering, massive. I love him. I think he's a great pickup for Denver. I think that he is going to be great, strictly IQ based. He's going to know how to play around a guy like Jokic, because how can you not play with the best player in the world who's not selfish? And this is a guy who I think could take an all-star lead this year. Looking at MPJ stats, a guy who averaged almost 20 a game. I mean, Cam is a guy who consistently would average, around 15 to 17 to 20. I think that I would, and this is a little high, but I do have high hopes for Cam. I think that he'll be at around 4 rebounds, around 19 points per game, and I know that's a little high, and probably 3 assists. I think that he's going to be able to pass the ball more, and I do think we see more ball movement, but I also think that we see him take around 2.5 threes per game, and I think that we see him shoot at an efficient rate. He's not going to be playing with a team that can't help him whatsoever. He's going to be playing with a team who can obviously spread the floor and help him get open, because there's going to be so much attention on their main 2 guys, which are Jamal and Jokic. Aaron Gordon plays into that. Christian Brown plays into that. The bench guys like Tim play into that. Strother play into that. Those are offensive guys. So regardless of what rotation and lineup you're running, it's going to take players away from Cam Johnson, which means that he's going to be open for a good amount of time. If Jokic gets in the post on a low post next to Cam Johnson's guy, you can't leave the opposite corner open, because Jokic can see that, which means it's going to be a 3 in the opposite corner, or it's going to be a 3 to Cam, and I think that Cam is going to be super efficient for Denver next year. And like I said, I do see him around the 19 point per game mark, maybe lower in rebounds, higher in assists, because he could easily pump fake. That could lead to a cutter like Christian Brown, and like I said, I think Brown could be more efficient on the floor and not only from the 3-point line. And if that opposite corner is still open, obviously that means like a guy like Aaron Gordon is going to be open. So my predictions for AG are that he stays in that super efficient range from the 3-point line, shooting around 36 to 38%. I think that we might see 6 or 7 rebounds from him a game, because he knows now he has to play down low without MPJ's size there. I want to say around 16 to 17 points a game. I know, again, a little high, but I do have hopes for AG to actually do that. Maybe 3 assists, 1 steal. I think that we see a little bit more defense from him, especially maybe in help now. But again, maybe we see 7 rebounds a game. I would hope for. I think that we see a little bit more assists, maybe a steal per game, maybe half a block. But I think that he does shoot super efficiently, especially from that 3-point line. It helps out Denver. And again, I think he's going to be playing majority of the time, because he is one of our starters who looked irreplaceable last year. But I think that him and Cam are going to be a perfect combo around Nikola Jokic, and guys off the bench are going to be massive for Jokic as well. So that's all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Like I said, next episode is going to be Nikola Jokic, my thoughts on what his stats are going to be, my thoughts on what Jamal Murray's stats are going to be, the win totals, and my overall thoughts for this Denver team in general going into next season. So that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I will catch you guys next episode.